Chapter 276, Eldric. After several quiet moments, hurried footsteps echoed sharply down the corridor outside, growing louder and clearer by the second. Orion turned his gaze towards the doorway, a faint smile already forming as he recognized the steady yet anxious rhythm of his grandpa's footsteps. The door swung open abruptly, revealing Eldric's tall, imposing figure framed against the brighter hallway outside. His normally composed expression revealed rare signs of anxiousness, his eyes immediately locking onto Orion with a mixture of intense relief and mild astonishment at the remarkable physical changes his grandson had undergone. Orion, Eldric breathed out sharply, swiftly crossing the room with a speed surprising for his usually calm demeanor. He stood directly before Orion, looking him carefully up and down as if assessing his physical condition thoroughly before asking urgently, "How are you feeling? Are you hurting anywhere? Do you feel any discomfort or unusual sensations?" Orion chuckled softly, feeling touched by Eldric's genuine concern. He gently rose from the edge of his bed, placing a reassuring hand upon Eldric's broad shoulder to steady the older man's clearly turbulent emotions. "Grandpa, first calm down," Orion said gently, his heterochromatic eyes glowing with warmth and affection. "I'm feeling fine for now. It's just some lingering injuries to my foundation, nothing immediately serious." Eldric visibly exhaled, tension slowly leaving his frame. His usually fierce eyes softened, his shoulders relaxing slightly with relief as Orion's calm, steady demeanor finally reassured him. "As long as you're fine," Eldric murmured softly, running a hand slowly through his graying hair, exhaustion clear in the subtle lines deepening on his aged face. "We can always find ways to heal or rebuild damaged foundations. The important part is that you're awake and safe." Orion nodded thoughtfully, quietly acknowledging Eldric's words. He had already resolved to delve deeply into alchemy as his next path. During his prolonged isolation within his sea of consciousness, he had thoroughly analyzed and memorized every theory, recipe, and technique he had access to regarding alchemy. All that remained was putting those theories into practice, and now seemed like the perfect opportunity to start. After a brief pause, Orion glanced curiously toward the doorway again, noting Celine's unusual absence. Turning back to Eldric with a gentle curiosity lighting his eyes, he asked softly, "By the way, Grandpa, where is Grandma?" Eldric shook his head slightly, a gentle sigh escaping his lips as he answered slowly, "Your grandma has been out running all over the place ever since the day you fell unconscious. She's been tirelessly searching everywhere, trying desperately to find a special herb or potion that could help with your evolution and recovery." Orion felt warmth surge deeply within his chest at Eldric's words, touched profoundly by the lengths Celine had clearly gone to support and help him. He smiled faintly, his voice softening noticeably with gratitude. "Did you manage to tell her that I've woken up?" Eldric nodded slightly, the smallest hint of a relieved smile appearing on his stern features. "Yes, we've sent a message to her already. But it might take some time before she returns. She had left the kingdom after learning about a rare herb that's said to be able to fortify and heal damaged mana channels specifically. Knowing her, she won't return empty-handed, no matter how far she has to travel." Orion chuckled gently, feeling immense gratitude for Celine's unwavering love. The thought of seeing her again filled him with anticipation, knowing that she would soon return home to nag him about taking better care of himself. The two stood quietly for a few moments, each silently absorbed in their own thoughts. Eldric then spoke up, breaking the comfortable silence. "You've grown significantly stronger and taller as well, Orion. Even your eyes, there's no mistaking the changes your evolution has brought. Your draconic legacies have fully awakened now, haven't they?" Orion paused briefly, hesitating for a moment, gathering his courage before beginning softly, "About my Drago." Eldric immediately raised a hand gently, stopping Orion's words before he could finish. The older man's gaze was steady yet firm, carrying an air of authority. "We will discuss this fully once your grandma returns, lad. Your lineage and heritage are something Celine and I both deserve to hear together, don't you think?" Orion nodded obediently, accepting Eldric's words. Indeed, he had already resolved to reveal everything about his lineage and the extent of his transformations. After the fierce battle months ago, hiding it seemed pointless now. Transparency was crucial, especially with the family who had given him so much love, care, and support without hesitation. The pair continued speaking quietly for a few more minutes, their conversation shifting toward lighter topics, updates on the estate, insights into the ongoing investigations into the Insanity Creed, and the changes that had occurred around them during Orion's prolonged absence. Eventually, Eldric glanced reluctantly toward the door, clearly aware that numerous responsibilities still demanded his immediate attention. With an apologetic sigh, Eldric patted Orion's shoulder warmly. "I wish I could stay longer, Orion, but there are still pressing matters related to the Insanity Creed and demon activity. I trust you understand." Orion smiled understandingly, nodding gently. "I understand completely, Grandpa. Thank you for everything you've done." Eldric nodded slowly, turning toward the door as he stepped out into the hallway. Pausing briefly at the doorway, he glanced toward Rena, who stood respectfully in the corridor awaiting instructions. "Rena," Eldric spoke calmly, "take good care of Orion and keep an eye on his condition." Rena immediately bowed respectfully, accepting his orders without hesitation. "Of course, Lord Eldric." As Eldric's figure disappeared down the corridor, the soft sound of his retreating footsteps fading gently into silence, Rena quietly stepped back into Orion's room, closing the door gently behind her. Now alone, Orion and Rena's gazes met softly once more, the room gently filling with a comforting, gentle warmth. Inside the quiet room, gentle sunlight filtered softly through the curtains, casting a warm and soothing atmosphere. Orion moved slowly toward his small round table positioned by the window, the polished wooden surface gleaming gently under the sun's delicate rays. With a subtle gesture, he indicated the chair opposite him, smiling lightly at Rena. "Come sit down, Rena." Rena hesitated briefly, her gentle eyes momentarily wavering with uncertainty. Orion observed her hesitation and chuckled softly, breaking the silence with warmth. "Was I unconscious for so long that you forgot how to sit with me?" Her cheeks flushed lightly at his playful teasing, and a gentle smile crept shyly onto her lips. Slowly, she took a seat, quietly adjusting her posture and folding her hands neatly in her lap. "It's just been so long," she whispered softly, her gaze momentarily drifting downward, gently avoiding Orion's playful gaze. He smiled reassuringly, voice calm and filled with gentle curiosity. "Tell me, how have you been? How did you spend your time while I was unconscious?" Rena's blush faded slightly, replaced by a look of quiet contemplation. Her eyes drifted thoughtfully toward the window, remembering the many months of diligent work and relentless training. "Mostly training and taking care of you," she answered softly. "I wanted to ensure that when you woke up, you'd see how much stronger I'd become." Orion nodded appreciatively, warmth radiating gently from his eyes. "Thank you, Rena. Seeing how much you care about me really puts a smile on my face." She smiled shyly at his praise, warmth spreading pleasantly through her chest. Orion paused for a moment, thoughtfully changing the topic. "By the way, how have things been around the estate? It seems everyone has had their hands full since I fell unconscious." Chapter 277, Walking Dual Path? Rena nodded softly, her voice quiet yet steady. "Indeed, young master. Lord Eldric has been constantly busy, dealing with matters related to the Insanity Creed and the increasing demon activities. He's barely had a moment of rest. Lady Celine has hardly returned to the estate, she has been traveling everywhere, searching tirelessly for something to help you recover." Orion nodded slowly, feeling deep gratitude towards them both. After a brief pause, his eyes suddenly sparkled with curiosity, and he asked, "Where is Fiora, though? I haven't seen her yet." Rena's expression softened into a gentle smile. "She's training in her room. Actually, I haven't told her yet about your awakening. If she knew, she'd probably have been here even faster than Lord Eldric." Orion laughed softly, a chuckle resonating gently through the room. "Let her continue training, then. I'll see her later. There's no rush." His gaze shifted again thoughtfully, his tone growing slightly more concerned. "And what about Seraph? I believe you told her about my condition at the beginning, didn't you?" I fear she might think I abandoned her after so long. Sigh. Rena suddenly lowered her head, guilt washing clearly across her gentle features. Her voice came out small and hesitant, barely more than a whisper. We forgot to tell her. Orion's eyes widened sharply, disbelief and concern clearly visible in his expression as he abruptly stood up. What? Is she still unaware even now? Is she all right? Seeing his sudden distress, Rena quickly stood up, her voice urgent yet reassuring. Please calm down, Master. I told her about you later, and she has been visiting you daily ever since. She's all right. Orion slowly exhaled, calming his agitated emotions. He sank back down onto the chair, sighing softly in relief. Yet confusion and curiosity lingered in his eyes, prompting him to question her further. Then tell me, how exactly did you forget about her initially? And why did Grandpa and Grandma not remind you either? Rena took a deep breath, her voice calm yet regretful as she carefully explained. Lord Eldric has been overwhelmed with responsibilities. Other noble houses frequently send representatives seeking advice on demon-related matters, and he's been completely occupied since you fell unconscious. Lady Celine has rarely returned, focused entirely on finding remedies for your injuries and evolution. She paused momentarily, carefully gauging Orion's reaction before continuing quietly. As for me and Fiora, we genuinely forgot about everything else. All of our time was spent either training intensely or taking care of your condition. We were both so consumed by worry and urgency that it simply slipped our minds. We never intended to neglect Seraph. Orion heaved a long, thoughtful sigh, his expression softening gradually with understanding and acceptance. He shook his head slightly, voice quiet yet without blame. Sigh, you all really forgot about her even though she's living under the same roof. But, given the circumstances, I understand. You were all busy because of me. Rena looked down, clearly remorseful yet comforted by his understanding. We truly regret it, young master. We will make it up to her. Orion smiled gently, nodding in agreement. I'll speak with her personally soon. She deserves to know that she was never forgotten in my heart. A gentle silence settled comfortably between them, each quietly contemplating the situation. After a while, Orion smiled warmly once more, lifting the mood gently with casual conversation. Tell me more about your training. How strong have you become in these past months? Rena's eyes brightened slightly as Orion shifted the topic toward her training, her earlier embarrassment giving way to a gentle pride. Her fingers subconsciously curled around the fabric of her skirt, a subtle excitement evident in her posture. Actually, she began softly, meeting Orion's curious gaze with a shy but confident smile. For some reason, ever since that incident, my talent in spirit arts has increased dramatically. I've broken through all the way to the 6th level of the awakening realm, and. Seeing her sudden hesitation, Orion gently interjected, his voice understanding and warm. If it's difficult for you to tell me right now, you can share it later when you're more comfortable. Rena quickly shook her head, determination sparking in her gentle eyes. It's not like that, young master, she quickly clarified, her voice trembling slightly with excitement. I ignited my life fire. Orion's eyes widened in genuine astonishment, his mouth slightly agape from shock. You started walking 2 paths? Rena nodded shyly, her gaze downcast yet filled with quiet pride at the clear astonishment reflected in Orion's eyes. She had anticipated his surprise, yet seeing it firsthand brought a deep sense of accomplishment and happiness within her. Meanwhile, Orion's thoughts raced internally, struggling to grasp how Rena had achieved something so extraordinary. Even among the Academy's top geniuses, walking dual paths, especially igniting their life fire, was nearly unheard of in their current generation. How did she manage something like this? He wondered silently, deeply intrigued by the unexpected revelation. Within his sea of consciousness, Asterix's gentle, amused voice echoed softly, offering subtle insight into his confusion. Your providence and fate might be influencing those close to you, Orion. Whether that's a blessing or curse, only the future will reveal. Orion inwardly nodded, accepting her words. Indeed, if this was an effect of his providence, it was undoubtedly a fortunate one. He turned his full attention back to Rena, a warm, genuine smile appearing on his face as he spoke. Now that's my Rena. This is a great milestone, something even the greatest geniuses in our kingdom struggle to achieve. Rena's heart warmed deeply at his sincere praise, her cheeks tinged with a soft blush of joy as she nodded earnestly. Thank you, young master. They continued chatting warmly for a while, their conversation flowing naturally, until Orion's expression grew thoughtful again. With gentle curiosity, he asked, did Fiora also begin her soul path? I remember she had quite impressive talent with spirit arts. Rena shook her head lightly, explaining with a soft voice, no, actually Fiora chose to abandon her spirit arts. For some reason, she suddenly felt an urge to try body refinement, and we all quickly discovered that her talent in it had significantly improved. Lord Eldric and Lady Celine speculated that it might be linked to her reawakening as a draconian. Since then, she's been diligently cultivating both body refinement and mana cultivation paths. Orion's eyes filled with warmth, clearly pleased by this news. That's wonderful, he said softly, his smile deepening with satisfaction. Now you both can wholeheartedly pursue your cultivation without worries. Rena smiled warmly, her earlier nervousness fully dissipating under Orion's encouragement. Her confidence steadily returned, emboldened by their comfortable conversation. With a playful glint in her eyes, she lightly teased, hee, perhaps now we won't have to constantly worry about being unable to keep up with you. Orion chuckled gently, nodding with a playful smile. Now, I'll personally oversee your training sessions. If either of you dare slack off, I'll make sure you regret it. Since you both possess such rare talents, it's essential you fully utilize them. Rena giggled softly, a cheerful sound filling the gentle silence of the room. Then I'll be counting on young master to guide me thoroughly. They continued chatting casually, sharing light-hearted laughter and playful exchanges, savoring the comfortable warmth that had returned to their interactions after months of silence and worry. Eventually, Orion stood up slowly from his seat, his expression growing more serious and concerned. His thoughts returned once again to Seraph, whose condition had been quietly nagging at him ever since he'd awakened. Rena, Orion said softly, glancing toward the door with clear worry etched into his gentle expression, I think it's time I visited Seraph. I'm most worried about her state.